Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Hello. It's Margaret here. Hello. I can see all of your comments. So you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. And hello, hello, hello. I'm so excited to be here with you on this Unblocked series. You can see I have Unblocked in the background and I have my copy right here because we're going to be talking about the first chakra today in this Unblocked series. And I'll remind you all that this is just the first in a series of 4 classes I'm doing. First chakra, second chakra, third chakra, and fourth chakra, following my book Unblocked to get you, unblocked and charged up, hey, and recharged for 2024. So yes, some of you have the book. Thank you so much. I would love you to do a review, quick plug on that. If not, you can always pick up Unblocked anywhere, especially on Amazon, where we seem to buy everything. But the most important thing today, besides my book commercial, is to really get into the first chakra as we look at 2024. Here we are in January. Let's kick off the year being more powerfully in our bodies, more present, with more focus, with more energy. And yay, it all happens at the first chakra. So if I look down here, I can see all of your comments. Oh, I see Annabelle from Massachusetts. And I see Wendy from Tampa. I see, oh, hi, Dr. Tanya from Coralville, Iowa. Hello, hello, hello. And our friends from all over the world. Sophie from Montreal. Hello, hello. So great to see you all. A couple Canadians in the house. Yeah, great to see you guys. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I figured I'd stick with some sparkles for the New Year's Eve energy, carrying that on into this week. Hello, hello, everybody. Hey, Carla. Hello, hello. Great to see you all. And I have a ton of notes, of course. So we'll probably go just about an hour, maybe just under an hour on this live stream, because I'm not only going to teach, but I'm going to give you an experience of the first chakra. So are we ready to start? Are we ready to start? Amazing that here on YouTube, it was easy to find my live stream. Yay, we love it when that happens. And it was easy to go live. So fabulous to see you all. And again, remember, if you're just joining, this is the first one of a series of unblocked calls. I'm going to do one on each chakra. The next one is happening on Monday inside of our Confident Coach community, but you are all invited, even if you're not a member of that community. As long as you sign up for this series, and we'll put the link in the comments, you will get a free invitation to be with us on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern for Chakra 2, because today we're going into Chakra 1. And that's going to get even more crazy than today. So great to see you. Great to see you. Oh, great to see you, Monty. Great to see you all there. And some of you are connecting with each other on the comments, so it's great to see. So are we ready to get started and start talking about the power of the first chakra? I believe the most undersold, underrated, underrepresented, underfocused on chakra of all of the chakras, but really it comes down to being the most important chakra for most people. And I'll tell you why. So we ready to start? Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Oh, she says, my clients love it. Awesome. I will be talking a little bit about how does this work for you as a coach or a healer or a practitioner, if you were working with clients or even with family friends. I will talk about that a little bit. But know that there is a secret call coming that's not even announced yet next Thursday. This is when I release all my secrets on a live broadcast. Next Thursday, which will be in between chakra calls for 2 and 3, in between those 2 broadcasts, I'm going to be doing a special call just for coaches on how to take this information and start helping your clients better. So yes, those are the secrets that are coming. So thank you, team. Just put that link there for you all to make sure, if you're just finding me here on YouTube and you're like, what series? You can opt in for it, no problem. Because that's often me on YouTube. I find something good and I'm like, how do I get the free report, or how do I get the next one? And then I can never find it on YouTube again. So we'll make sure that you get not only this recording, but also the whole series coming. So we're talking about the first chakra, and I did put this book together a couple of years ago. Came out with Hay House. You can get it anywhere on Unblocked, and it really holds all of my work over these 18 years of, in the beginning, learning about chakras from other writers, other authors, other teachers, but then using my own client base, my own large group programs, my own membership areas to continue to delve into how does it work in real people, not just in terms of information and historical and sort of first chakra. Well, think of red and it's an energy center, but how does it work in real everyday people? What are the benefits? What are the negatives? So let's talk about that first chakra, because it truly is the foundation that all of your other energies are built on. And that first chakra is formed when we are born and we come into this world. And the first thing that happens as we come into this world is we are aware, we have the level of consciousness that we have a body and we're not just an eternal soul or a light floating around in the universe or wherever we come from. We have a body, and that means we need things to be able to survive. Like, I'm suddenly aware that I need shelter and nurturing and food, and nourishment and love and care, because otherwise I can't survive on this planet, right? So the first chakra is formed very young. It is very unconscious, but it is our first level of consciousness. And so as we grow, it encompasses more everyday practical things in addition to just my body. I need safety and shelter and warmth and nourishment to survive. But it also encompasses like everyday solid things that are related to survival, like money. Money is a big first chakra energy, because on planet Earth, we don't learn that as babies, but we learn it as we grow. Money is survival, right? You need to have money to be safe and secure. So all of our first chakra issues, whether they're good, like positive things about our first chakra, or negative, all get overlaid onto how we deal with and handle money. And what I found so interesting, since I started doing this 18 years ago, and it was like law of attraction heyday. Who remembers those days, right? Where we were like, oh, these people in the movie The Secret, oh, this is so amazing. But what I found was, working with lots of law of attraction people, yes, The Secret, that what they were working with was more the concept of abundance and prosperity, which always felt good when we thought about it or dreamed about it. But when they really thought about their actual money right now in their life and how they felt about money, how their parents felt about money, that got wired into their nervous system. Now you saw first chakra safety issues, right? I'm actually anxious and scared and I don't feel safe. So really important to realize that the first chakra is not just connected to our body, but other things in life, practical everyday things. How well do I manage money? How well do I manage stuff in my house? And when it comes to our body, it's my actual nervous system. And so when Carolyn Mace talks about the chakras in her book, Anatomy of Energy Anatomy of the Spirit, she talks about how each chakra is located at a nerve bundle. And the first chakra is at your coccyx, and it's like the base of your spine where your whole nervous system runs from. So the fight or flight is a first chakra thing. And really, really important to know that these days, and I'm going to ask you, beg you, try to convince you, even if you're not a coach, you just hear for yourself, to start to become more of an expert on the fight or flight. And I'm going to tell you why. So as we're born into our first chakra, let's talk about how this develops, right? I'm born into my first chakra. Now I'm a baby. I have very little consciousness. I ain't got no logical mind online, right? There's nothing logical yet. It is just sort of survival. Like I have an impulse for being hungry. I have an impulse or reaction to being cold. I'm taking in all of this stimulation and I'm getting my needs met in different ways, right? So we are aware of our first chakra in a very visceral, tactile way. Pain, cold, all the different ways that we are sensitive. If I'm overtired, if I'm overstimulated, if there's too much noise, too much brightness, all of those things that affect me. And the key of development of the first chakra in the most positive sense is that I have to be in my family valued enough, thought of enough to be attended to when I'm experiencing pain or discomfort from hunger or whatever it is, where an adult human comes and soothes my first chakra with their first chakra. And so that creates a first chakra that is way before our ability to be aware, that is able to get upset, dysregulated, you could say, right? Overstimulated, hungry, uncomfortable, and then go into calmness. Oh, I now am getting soothed and held and made to be calm. So our first chakra takes in that sensory information. Again, no logical brain is on mind. No logical isness is on our mind, is in our brain yet. It's just that sensory information, but we are drawing conclusions at a very basic first chakra level like this. Do I belong here? Am I wanted? Am I valuable enough to get attended to? And I'm going to use that word a lot because I want you, we're going to turn this around to how you treat you. How do you attend to your own impulses or your own nervous system when you are tired, uncomfortable, scared, unsoothed, agitated, and in particular, like afraid of something, which is making us sometimes procrastinate? How well do we attend to ourselves? How well are we understanding and kind to ourselves? And I find this is such a huge blind spot because we don't remember this element. But what people will say to me all the time, and to a lot of the coaches I train, but Margaret, what about this long-standing thing I have where I just don't feel worthy, where I just don't feel good enough? No matter all the work I've done, there's still this question of, I just don't think I'm worthy. What chakra is that, Margaret? And I always say, it's complicated, it's layered. This is a deep issue because it goes through many chakras, but it always starts at the first chakra, in a place we don't remember, and where our logical brain wasn't saying, I know I'm good enough, but these people are not able to attend to me well. But I'm going to hold on to the fact that I'm actually this beautiful child of the divine and I matter. So we don't have that ability to think that way. And so it gets coded at a nervous system level, this sort of truth that, well, I mustn't be worthy enough because no one is coming. No one is attending to me. No one is soothing my nervous system. Or in some cases, the person that is soothing my nervous system is anxious, is exhausted, is unhappy. And so do I get a little soothing? Yes. Is there something agitated and off and doesn't allow me to go all the way to soothe, but always have this something is wrong hypervigilance? Then we will also have that way of wiring of our nervous system. And so the nervous system, the first chakra, is supposed to develop in this container of safety. Now, not every single moment has to be perfect, right? I know you're thinking, some of you are like, well, what about that time I didn't pick up my kid, right? It's not the one-offs or the little things that happen there. It's the overall like arch of what is the general number of experiences or tone that I was cared for in the family, and where were those little pieces that even if it was good, it was off. So speaking of that, the next way that the first chakra continues to develop is as we now get older and become toddlers, become 2, become 3, become 4. And in those years, we start to realize, well, I've been totally safe and loved and adored and attended to at some level. And now I realize there's a whole new set of rules. I can do something on my own volition, right? As a terrible 2s or terrible 3s or whatever horrible names we call them, and get shamed for that, get criticized for that. And those feelings of shame, of criticism, of being in that moment where you're used to being or expecting to be feeling love, feeling safe, feeling warm, feeling yummy, and you get shocked with this shame or this criticism. It is such a devastating, like existentially destroying feeling, even in a microsecond. Many of you remember what that's like to just feel bad, right? Guilty, bad, terrible. You probably didn't even have words for it when you were young. Just, I feel like I'm bad, or made to feel ashamed or bad. That is such an incredibly powerful, overwhelming feeling in a child's body that it feels like life or death. And so sometimes people will tell me, I had very loving parents, but there is an awareness that at a certain age, they had very high expectations that I would be a good little girl, that I would get all my homework done, that I would be perfect. And if I wasn't, I got in trouble, or I got that look, or I got shamed, or, oh my God, that would never happen, Margaret, because I was always on it. So it's another way that we can have our nervous system learn it is only safe for me when I am hypervigilantly making sure I'm doing everything right. And so typically someone like that is going to be, I don't want to use the word like very high functioning, but very successful, right? Very successful in your career. But the dark side, the downside, is that a lot of that driven to achieve and be perfect and think of everything first and want to be right the first time and having to do it perfect, also known as perfectionism, is actually driven by a very unconscious first chakra drive. And so, this is where I start to come into, and I will more next week, talking about if you're a coach or a healer or a practitioner, that someone can be your client or maybe just your family member and seem very, again, high functioning, right? They're getting stuff done. They're on it. They're on everything. They're multitasking. And it can kind of trick us that they have a really strong first chakra. They get their taxes done. They have everything done on time. They're super organized, strong first chakra, right? Well, you really have to look at how their nervous system runs. Is a lot of that mobilizing have an anxious edge underneath? Or do you see that person mobilizing and achieve and then joyfully celebrating themselves for how awesome they are and able to just relax and be and do nothing in their own skin, right? Like, now I'm taking a month off and I love it. Or are they always mobilizing, always mobilizing, always mobilizing? The second something comes up, it's like I get into action no matter how tired I am, or how sick I am. Sometimes we can really see it when we're sick, and it's almost impossible for us to get the rest to get better. Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys. Some of you are sort of weighing in on that. So I'm just going to check my notes here. So let's look at what does it mean to actually, as an adult, feel safe, right? And so, oh my gosh, you see everything on YouTube. I can see this hair, like boing. What does it mean as an adult to feel safe? So let's talk about that, because it's different from when we're a baby. And the exercise that we're going to do today, I better keep an eye on my time, is you're going to look at your current adult life. Now, in Unblocked and in other programs that we do and in our membership, we've worked through looking at the nervous system of the baby. However, today we're going to look at your current day nervous system. So what does it mean to be safe as an adult? And there really are those same two levels. The first one is, how safe do I generally feel? And to answer that question, one of the things that we have to look at is our money. When I look at my money, my income, my savings, my debt, do I feel safe and secure? Is there a level of safety, or does it trigger a very yucky anxiousness that I don't even want to think about? So I never think about my money. So there's one level, right? We can also look at how we feel in our body. If we have developed an illness or a dis-ease or autoimmune or something like that, we think about our body and we often feel scared and unsafe. We can look at how we're, the basics of how we're living. Some of us are living in a war zone right now. And so where is my nervous system around the external situation I'm living in, and how safe can I feel? And so those are some of the very basic things. And then we can also think about that next level of, how safe do I feel if I'm not being perfect? Am I always on guard to be the best, be my best, not be seen as making a mistake? Or how safe do I feel when it comes to a question like, am I a fraud? Like, am I good enough? How safe do I feel if I imagine being sort of spotlighted and people looking at me and evaluating me? Or does it feel like they'd be scrutinizing me, challenging me, asking me to prove something about how smart I might want to be? And so that's sort of that harder to see one underneath, like, do I really feel safe? Or am I very mobilized in my life? I am moving and going all the time, but a lot of that is driven by, I'm actually trying to feel safe. And so when we think about all of that together, I want you to think about how the mind can be always on guard. And when the mind is always on guard and you are a sophisticated, educated person, then your mind is going to tell you a lot of stories. Sometimes that you're not even on guard, right? You're just being smart. Your mind is going to tell you a lot of stories and have a lot of narratives and a lot of reasons and a lot of rules on why you have to always be on guard, right? Always be on guard. And so when we're always on guard, it means when I go within, am I allowed to like exhale for a minute? And if I were to do that and say, the truth is, I don't really feel safe. Ooh, that's a negative phrase, but does it feel a little bit true on a scale of 1 to 10? Or for some people, actually, I never feel safe. And how true does that feel on a scale of 1 to 10? And that's a little exercise y'all can do right now, right? Do I, around this feeling of safety, right? So I want you to try saying that out loud to yourself. I don't feel safe. I know we're saying it in the negative way, But how true is that feel if 10 is like 100%, I do not feel safe? And notice that it's not really sometimes a logical answer, right? For some of you, it may be, because again, we have people right now living in war zones. But if you're not living in a war zone, where is that? And then again, ask it this way. The truth is, or say it this way, I never feel safe, or I've never felt safe. And see where that is, because if that's really true for you, then it's even more important that you become aware of and literate about your first chakra as it comes to the fight or flight and being on guard. And so just to kind of circle back, when we think about first chakra issues that are often completely missed in the personal growth area, completely missed in a lot of books people are reading and trying to do, like, I'm going to follow these steps, right? Which are great, except you might be missing your first chakra. Or I'm going to meditate more or visualize more and do things that are a little bit more upper chakra while I'm forgetting about or missing, and my mind is going to agree with me. You don't need to worry about the first chakra, but I'm missing my first chakra in here, right? So the mind will come up with lots and lots of ideas and strategies, and it will lead you away from the source of the problem, because the source of the problem is actually all the way down in your body in your first chakra. So for me, it's how I see it, working with thousands of people in their nervous systems through their visualizations and the tapping that I've done with so many people. It is the core of not feeling worthy, because that was not imparted to you through your body from a young age. Like, you matter enough that when I hear you cry, I come running and I soothe you. And I let you know that I am there, or I see what's wrong and I make it right. Secondly, it is the root source of where perfectionism started. Where perfectionism started, or I got to do it right. And I remember perfectionism is also looking at the past and saying, I shoulda, I shoulda, I shoulda, because it's a way of saying, I regret any time that I wasn't perfect because I should have been. That is my standard. It's also the core reason and the root source of how we very unconsciously treat ourselves. How do I treat me when I'm anxious or scared? I know for me, I would have said to you, 20 years ago, I'm not anxious. I'm fine. I'm not a perfectionist. But the second something would trigger me, I would mobilize into action. And if I really took stock, and this can still happen to me, I have to watch it. That's where the tapping comes in, is if I really take stock, yes, I'm mobilizing and I'm doing things and I'm jumping on things. And I might sound really, like I'm taking charge, or this is how we should do it. But underneath, it is driven by an anxiousness. There is an anxiousness in my body. And if I really sat with it, it would turn into terror, which is why we don't want to sit with it, right? The terror of getting in trouble, being wrong, being not good enough, being found out, looking stupid. All of that is at a very first chakra level, and it can be hidden underneath that mobilization. So if some of you might be saying, geez, Margaret, I did not have parents that were able to be so loving. Sometimes it's because our parents are, terrible people and they were abusive, and that's where they were at that time in their life, right? That's the best they could do, but it wasn't very good. Other times there can be something that happened when we were a child, when we were a baby, like the death or illness of another child or a family member. And it just made it impossible for our parents to be happy or joyful or present or attentive to us in the same way. So there's lots of reasons that we can have there. But if you're saying, hey, Margaret, like, what do I do? Then it really is going to come right back to this question of how do I treat me? Because yes, today in these present moments in your present life, you can heal your first chakra and bring that safety back. It starts with you, and it starts with tribe of people that you attract and pull together to also reinforce that. So I'm going to explain that just a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit about how to self-diagnose yourself in this. Okay. Yeah, Julie, perfect example, right? My mother suffered from depression, right? And so she just wasn't really present. I understand. It's like, this is where I want you to use the word and, right? This is Bethany Long, who runs the business with me, is very famous for always using and instead of but, because it's like saying, I understand, and I was still affected by that, right? So I have to hold both those things. It's not a but, it's an and. They both happened. Like, I get it, and I still have the negative impact of that, and how do I work with that going forward? And so how do we heal the first chakra? And then I'm going to talk about how to self-diagnose a little bit, and then we're going to go into our experience. Yeah. So the way that we heal the first chakra is first at a very nervous system level. So I love talking about the brain body reset. And when we talk about first chakra, boy, are we talking about the brain body, like nervous system reset. And so this amazing technique called tapping, which literally turns down the fight or flight, which is being driven often from some kind of not remembered unconscious place, but it blasts through our body, right? So this is when our physiology gets hijacked at the first chakra, and now we're running in fear. Tapping is an unbelievable technique, even without words. You guys, if you're on my YouTube channel, you're probably seeing some of my tapping hack videos. I have lots of old videos going all the way back to 2009, but my newer videos are a little bit more like hacks on just tapping, even a few spots, to start to turn down that nervous system. And so soothing our nervous system that way, bringing it down a few notches over time. Secondly, kindness to oneself. That kindness of like, oh my gosh, I'm actually scared right now. So I might be about to jump into mobilizing because I found out I made a mistake and I got to make it right at work. But I'm going to take a second and go, it's okay, right? This is scary. This is anxious. I'm feeling the anxiousness in my body. I'm going to take a second. I'm going to walk around my house. I'm going to talk to myself about it. Why? What the heck does that do? What does that do, Margaret? I don't have time for that. Well, what are we doing? We are attending to ourselves in the way that we were not attended to. And that is going to rewire your first chakra, your nervous system. You are the one that can bring kindness and understanding and a hug to your nervous system. The attending to that you didn't get. So yes, I'm going to mobilize, and I'm going to take a second, and I'm going to attend to, wow, this really triggers me. Wow, I feel the anxiousness in my body. And wow, I'm going to tap. I'm going to talk to myself about it. I'm going to talk to myself like I am 5 and be like, it's okay. You're okay, right? It's okay. You're okay. I remember when I was in corporate America, running this department of engineers, and people would get, I had a lot of perfectionism people in there because they're like little engineers. And if they made a mistake, and I would remind them that although the work we did was very important and very important to our biggest customers, I would say, no one is going to die on the table. No one is going to die on the table right now. So we can all take a breath. Yes, it's important, but no one's going to die today. This is just a mistake we need to fix, right? Because one of my best friends was a nurse running infusion units, and people were, sometimes coding over there. And it really put things in perspective for me, right? So taking that breath, attending to ourselves with our sort of adult mind, talking to our inner child, really, really important. And then the third thing that we really need for first chakra is people. So first chakra responds to tribe. Your first tribe may not have been there for you. And as a matter of fact, I talk about this a lot in Unblocked. If your first tribe, your parents, if when you were scared, they ignored you, then that's how you will treat yourself. I ignore it and say, get busy, right? If when you were scared, they turned to you and they said, you are such a loser. Like, what is wrong with you? You're being a baby. Then you will be extra mean to yourself, right? If when you were scared, you looked at them and they were scared. They were scared, right? And they're like, oh my God, what happens if you felt that in their body, then you're going to have a lot of fear. There was no one there to look at the fear in your eyes and say, hey, it's going to be okay. I got you. If when someone criticized you or you did make a mistake and your tribe, your original tribe, either didn't notice at all and ignored you, or gave you a look and criticized you, or reaffirmed again, God, see, you always screw up. You're a loser. What an idiot, or in some way shamed you, then that means it is incredibly dangerous for you to make a mistake. So where do friends come in? Where do adult tribe members come in? Well, it starts with us. We become that first person that's like, okay, hey, I'm okay. I'm scared. And you know what? It's okay. I'm not an idiot. I'm not weak. I just need a little bit of soothing right now. And I'm going to give that to myself. So we're the first tribe member that stands in the first chakra. But we also want other people in there, safe, loving people. A lot of you have found each other through our Confident Coach community, through our Super Coach communities, and have become that safe person for each other. Because here's the way it works. When I make a mistake or something really scary happens, right? Or something really disappointing happens, when that happens to me, if I'm alone in that moment, okay, what we do internally, what our nervous system does is it refers back like in an instant, even, with like no time passes, it's instantaneous, refers back to what would the tribe do in this case? And so sometimes there's nothing. It's like they didn't even notice me. And so I'm just tumbling in space of nothingness. Sometimes it would be criticism or shaming, right? And so with a good tribe, we would check back inside and we would see a tribe saying, you know what? It's going to be okay. You're going to get through this. And those words will start to steady your first chakra, even after initial shock. Or if someone criticized you and we're like, you're not as good as you think you are, that would be shocking. It would hurt. You'd have that initial moment. Your nervous system would probably activate. You'd be like, oh my God. And then you'd turn inside to your first chakra. And there's someone standing there. In this case, a friend, an adult friend, who without even asking is going to be like, they're idiots. You're awesome. And that reinforces and changes your physiology. And so if it wasn't your family who was like, no, those people are idiots, you're the best, then you need to also attract new tribe. This is the power of community. And by the way, especially important for women in community, because our first chakras experience growing up female, which is very, very different than growing up male in most countries. Our nervous systems experience a different level of scrutiny, criticism, vulnerability to attack, to sexual abuse, to being sexualized before we're ready, to being criticized just for our physical body, for our physical appearance, because we don't look like someone's standard. And then as we get older, we learn that we have an even higher burden of being safe when it comes to achieving and being able to say, I know what I'm talking about, because you have to work twice as hard and be twice as perfect. And if you make a mistake as a woman and it's public, oh my God, that is different than when the average dude makes a mistake in his job or in his work. I saw it play out over and over in 18 years in corporate America. And, I got 4 brothers and I love them to death, but I do see how different it is for them when it comes to acknowledging their accomplishments, asking for raises, raising their hands for promotion, and not being bothered at all when some a-hole boss criticizes them. No, he's just an idiot. Where I'm like, I would have spent months agonizing about that idiot. Even if I thought idiot, I would still be deeply wounded and terrorized by that criticism. So remember that first chakra tribe, even more important for women. I want you to just clink that into your brain. So if you're a guy and you're listening, I want you to remember this for the women in your life, right? For your daughters, your granddaughters, your sisters, your partners, your loved ones, your friends. Remember that they've had a very different experience from you at a nervous system level. No matter how mobilized they can be in their life, there's always something there. And of course, if you are a person of color, whole nother level to add on for how your nervous system was raised and socialized about safety. And we go right back to those same themes. Can I charge? Can I ask for a raise? Can I push back? Can I make a mistake publicly? All of that is on a whole nother level, right? For women of color in particular. So you just add on a whole nother layer that I can't even begin to fathom. So holding all of this, we think about how do I heal my first chakra? It's that tapping is a huge tool. It's that moment of self-soothe, that moment of awareness, like I'm actually more triggered than I realize. And actually, that's the exercise that we're going to be doing in a few minutes. Oh, I better get on it because we're running out of time. And then third, you need new tribe. If the only people you turn to on the inside are the critics and the see, this is what you always do, or you're being a baby or something like that, or who cares about you, then you need to start opening up to attracting safe, loving new people who will look you in the eyeballs and go, you're awesome. And that's it. And you deserve this. That's what I want you to have. And that's what I love. That's why I love building communities. I am one of 8 children, and I love building communities of people that are loving and kind and support each other. So as you probably can see, lots of people that are here on the chat have been in our community. So love you guys. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about self-diagnosis, because that's what you're going to experience in this little exercise. Is because our mind is not reliable when it comes to first chakra, we use a visualization to self-assess. So I'm going to have you visualize something in order to self-assess where you are. Secondly, understand, as far as, right, we're talking about self-diagnosing, right? My mind is not a reliable narrator here. Maybe you should write that down, because your mind is going to make you forget that. You'll be like, I don't remember when Margaret said that. My mind is not reliable. So I have to use a visualization to really see where I am. Secondly, understand this one's for your mind, okay? Everybody's super brilliant mind. Listen to this one because maybe this will help motivate you. Understand the impact of the fight or flight, the nervous system running with that little bit of anxious energy that might be underneath your achieving or your mobilizing, as I like to call it. Understand the impact on your focus, on your brilliance, on your prefrontal cortex, your ability to be resourceful, to have good ideas. Understand the fight or flight effect, the dampening effect. A lot of you have seen me and been in my motivation breakthrough maps, right? Where I talk about this in a lot of videos, to see the impact on that fight or flight effect on focus. You can feel scattered, feel like you have ADD, feel like you have brain fog, and not feel the courage that you wish that you had. Like, why don't I have this courage, this charge, this passion? I think about it and I want to do it, but then I'm not moving. Understand that the fight or flight has that dampening, depressing effect on your positive action, your creative action. It can keep you mobilizing and doing things, but even in that mobilization, it's not going to have the same brilliance. You literally aren't as smart when you are in the fight or flight. And so the other way you can look at it is, I am missing out on great ideas, on a lot of my brain, on resourcefulness, on quantum leaps, on things that oh my gosh, just popped in my head. What a good idea. I'm just going to take action on that. I am missing out on those mobilizing impulses that aren't just, I got to do it because I'm scared. I have this courage. I have this expansiveness, maybe even charisma, like, hey, everybody, that's what I'm excited about. Enthusiasm is something that you can't have at the same time fight or flight effect is happening in your system. So that's my second one. The third one is on this really like being able to self-diagnose myself, is understanding my hormones and how they affect me. And so it's not just the fight or flight effect on the mind. I called it that in my motivation breakthrough map because I'm talking about procrastination and motivation. And I really want to, impress upon people the negative impact on the mind, on your focus, on your presence. But there is also an effect on your hormones. And here again, it's worse for women. It is worse for us because we have 3 hormones and all of them get chewed up by cortisol. And so when you are on guard, when you have a lot of perfectionism, when you've never felt safe, we want to see what level of on guard am I on? What level do I run at? And know that that is keeping my cortisol high. Now, did we just go through a pandemic where people were like terrified and losing people that they loved and afraid they were going to lose people, and we didn't know anything for a long time? It was like, do we have to wipe down our grocery bags? All of that fear doesn't just disappear the day the pandemic is over or the day that, people start moving forward and come out of their houses. It can linger. We can be stuck. Even if we weren't super high cortisol before, we can get stuck there for a while. And so understand, what does cortisol do? It chews up progesterone first. Like, progesterone just disappears. So your ability to feel calm and sleep really well goes right out the window. And then it also chews up all the precursor hormones to make estrogen and to make testosterone. Guess what those 2 things give you? Yeah, we don't have the same testosterone as men. And ladies, I'm talking post-menopause. We still have those hormones. Guess who's supposed to make those hormones? Guess what factory in here is supposed to take over in menopause and make those 3 hormones? Yeah, your adrenals. And what are they pumping out? Cortisol, pumping out that cortisol and adrenaline, right? If we have very high fight or flight. And so Estrogen makes us more collaborative, makes us more friendly, makes us be like, I feel like going out and networking and talking to people. Have you felt that disappear lately? And what about testosterone? Again, not as much as men, but it is courage, it is action, it is leadership. And so recognize that this is a big effing deal, because not only is it affecting our mind, it is also affecting these hormones. And again, by the way, progesterone, estrogen, brain fog when that is off. And so postmenopausal, aren't we, some of y'all? We need as much of those as our adrenals can create to keep us like on our best game in this phase of life, because dear God, this is our phase of life, right? I am 56, I think. I forget because I don't want to keep track. I think I'm 56. These are the best days of our lives, the 50s, the 60s, yes, the 70s. We are going to thrive in our 50s, our 60s, and our 70s, and we need this in order to thrive and survive and create. Because let's face it, we are finally in the phase where we are not taking care of everybody and making all their sandwiches. I still do make a few sandwiches, but it is not the big bulk of our day. This is the time for us, right? These are your senator years where you can be operating at a very high level. So my one, we're going to do this quick experience now. What I want you to do is, even if you're not a coach, is I beg of you, I ask of you, I encourage you to be more savvy, be a little bit more of an expert in this stress response or the fight or flight, and the impact, particularly on women, on our ability to think clearly, to have great ideas, to feel inspired and awake, and our hormones, which give us that courage, that motivation, that ambitious, that impulse to take action. And really understand that our mind isn't the best narrator of this. Sometimes we have to take a breath and really assess, visualize ourselves in the way that I'm going to give you today, so you can do it all of the time. Whether it's to help your clients or to help people in your life. So before I move on, my two-part solution to this in my work is daily progress. This is my tapping hacks, walking around. They're all designed for you to walk around your kitchen and say like one phrase in a few minutes and pop your cortisol down, right? This is neuroprotective also. We bring our cortisol down. It's neuroprotective, it's keeping those brains smarter longer for our 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, right? Daily progress and deep dives. Daily progress, deep dives. And so what do I mean by deep dives? Well, you guys are probably most familiar, some of you here, with my deep dives, which is really going through a whole class or a whole program or a whole session with me, where we are really getting into the work. We're getting like Unblocked, or the audio of Unblocked, where I'm guiding you through the whole book. That's an example of a super deep dive, right? That could take you months to work through. But the daily tapping and then the deep dive, where I'm really guided and I'm getting to big issues, right? And so if you're coaches, I want you to think of it the same way. You're welcome. I looked over at the comments and I saw a compliment. So yay, thank you. It's like, this is great information. You're welcome. Okay, so here's the little process that I want you to go through, because I know I've been talking and I've been teaching and I have just nonstop fire hosed you. So I want you to all just to kind of take a breath with me, right? And be like, I didn't know I was talking about menopause today. This is weird, Margaret. I do not mention menopause in Unblocked. But it's really important. So just take a breath on all of this information I've been downloading you with. And yes, we're here on YouTube, which means I will be able to send you the recording to this. Some of you say you have to slow me down to take those notes. We will be able to send that to you, which means you have to be just, signed up. So make sure you've clicked that link we've pinned to the top so you can get this one and the next 3 calls. And if you want the special one I'm doing just for coaches next Thursday, we'll tell you all about that. There's secret information coming out. That one is different than the series. It's about how to use this work with clients. Okay. Okay, so take a nice breath, and I want you to close your eyes because we're going to be visualizing or imagining something. And so, given that we've been doing all of this listening, I want you to feel your feet and take a breath and really feel your feet. Feel the floor or the inside of the shoes where it's touching your feet, and just notice that feeling for a second. That helps us come into our first chakra, into our bodies. And now I want you to feel the chair supporting you. And just take another breath. And now I want you to imagine with your eyes closed, like it's like this white mist in front of your eyes, like the movie screen of your eyes. Behind your eyes, it's just like there's nothing there, just like when you get in the movie theater and there's this big blank white screen. And on that screen is going to form a picture of you. And I want you to see yourself just sitting somewhere in your house as you typically do during a work day. And imagine that you could see yourself there, in the middle of your day, in the middle of your everyday life. And I want you to notice, how do you look? What's the look on your face? You're in your everyday life and process around work and meals and housework and all the things that you normally do, relationships, people. Just kind of see yourself in that moment. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, I'm almost freaking out, what number pops into your head as far as like how stressed you are or how anxious you are? And just get that number. If 0 is I look completely relaxed, Margaret, what number are you at, just us tuning into you now? And you can put that on the chat if you want. What number are you at on a scale of 1 to 10? And now we're going to change the picture. Okay. So we got some 5s and some 7s, right? So Norma 8, Stepanka is a 7, Mondi is an 8, Karen's a 9. Like, that's pretty high. So I'm going to change the picture. Some of you are lower. That's great. But here's my question. If you're high, if you're like, an 8 or a 9, does anyone in your life have any idea that that's how you operate on a daily basis? Yeah, even Robin at a 7, right? Audra at an 8, Barbara at an 8, Sandy at a 9. Does anyone in your life, like from the outside, do people know? Not a clue. Cami, not at all. I don't even know. So this is why we're using a visualization. Weirdly, you get more information than checking in with yourself, because you would have been like, no, I think this, by visualizing yourself. And if you are really high, how do you know by this picture? Just take note for yourself. What are you noticing in the picture that tells you you're at that 8 or that 7? Or even that 5, because 5 means I'm 50% of the way there to the worst stressed I ever am. Like, is it the look on my face? Like, sometimes when I'll do this with myself, I'll be like, oh, I look sad. Like, and what I realize is I'm tired. I'm a little disappointed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. So now I want you to close your eyes and come into the picture again. And now I want you to imagine that that version of you sitting there is now tuning in to the big things that you need to get done. Maybe it's your goal for this year. Maybe it's a weight loss goal, a health goal, a fitness goal, a business goal, growing your client base, as so many of you in our Super Coach program are. Like, I want more clients. I got to put myself out there. Hold that in mind, like it's in a bubble over your head. And what happens now? What happens to that stress level on a scale of 1 to 10 while you're kind of tuning in? While you're kind of tuning in, what happens to that number? If it was a 5 before, where is it now? If it was an 8 before, where is it now? So it went up to an 11 for Candace, right? She blew past the 10 barrier. Yes. Samhita goes to 11 also, right? Like way up there. Felt it in my stomach, through the roof. Molly just said, oof, right? Goes up to 10 and I procrastinate. And so how do you know you're at a 10? Wow. Susie said 12. Right? So Denise, oh my gosh, Denise went all the way to 50. So she's just crushing it, right? You're crushing it with stress, I guess. How do you know? And again, I'm asking you guys for yourselves. How do you know you're there? Because these are symptoms that you do not attend to, that you completely ignore or miss in yourself. And so some of you said, I look flustered, I look slumpy, I'm frustrated, right? So Samita, when you find yourself feeling frustrated in your mind, that is your cue to go, oh my gosh, I'm in fight or flight. I'm being hijacked right now, right? I don't have all my faculties. Everything I'm trying to do right now is going to be friggin' harder. So this is where my daily progress, right? I go right to this hack. I don't even care if you don't use words, right? For Lisa Cat, overwhelmed. For Kate, right, said feeling defeated. This is now your clue. For me, I'll start to feel like just crabby or critical of this is stupid, that's stupid. And then I'm like, oh, Margaret is actually scared or sad. And so instead of staying in that state, we go to the real issue. We attend to the nervous system, whether it's I'm sad, I'm scared, or something that doesn't feel unfair to me. So I feel angry or frustrated. I get confused and overwhelmed. I get crumpled posture, like I've imploded. I freeze and feel disconnected. So Terry, thank you for sharing that, because again, this is like where the mind is like, I'm just going to go away. So how do I ever realize the source of my problem if I disconnect, right? I freeze, I go out of my body, right? And so knowing that, this is how we have to start attending to ourselves. And this is even harder, everybody, because if you do have somebody in your life who loves you, then to bring that tribe member in on it might be, oh, God forbid, saying to them, honey, I need a hug right now. Like I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling stressed. And let them hug you. Oh my gosh, Margaret, you're crazy, right? Even I can't, it amazes me how many people like, oh my God, my partner's totally loving. And they're like, I'm not telling them, right? Because we want to be alone. Thank you, Sherry, right? It's like, no, I want to withdraw. I don't want anyone to fill in the blank. Let's say it together. I don't want anyone to see me like this. So instead of getting the tribe that we need, we've learned I don't want anyone to see me like this. Okay. So this is unsustainable and it doesn't really fix the real issue. It's attending to the issue. Yeah. Georgina said, bingo. Okay. So let's do some quick tapping because we've gone over my promised time. Well, it wouldn't be me if I didn't overteach. So I guess I just have to love myself. Okay, so great awareness, everybody, and let's do some tapping. We're going to do all the points. So I want you to try to hit right here. You can use 2 fingers. This is the tapping point, not way up here. I see this a lot, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening there. If you drew a circle, a middle fingering right on the beginning of your eyebrows. That's where the tapping point is, and then we're going to do side of the eye, right on the edge of the bone. See, I know this because my family will say to me, I tapped. Under the eye is right on the edge of the bone, right? And then we're going to do here and here and here. And we're just going to do some quick tuning in. Okay. There I am in my mind's eye. And you guys repeat after. And I look pretty stressed. Tuning in to my goals or these chores I have to do. I look pretty stressed. Maybe I even look a little sad, defeated, or disappointed, or overwhelmed. And I don't like that feeling. And it's really hard. And I don't really want to sit with that. But I'm just going to honor that this is my nervous system being hijacked with fight or flight. And it's beyond my conscious control. At some level, I don't feel safe right now. At some level, I don't feel safe. And that sucks. Maybe I've never felt safe. And that really sucks. But I'm just going to honor this fight or flight going on in my body, overriding my system. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I totally honor that I don't feel safe. And this is hard. And coming down, even a tiny bit, out of fight or flight, out of cortisol, I get to be more grounded, more present. I can actually breathe. And I get to be smarter. My brain resets and works better. I get to have better ideas. I get to be more clear, more solid. I get to be more aware of what I actually need in this moment to take care of me first, and then move into action. I honor my whole fight or flight system. It comes from the days of the saber-toothed tigers. And in this moment, this is not life or death. And I'm just going to honor that too. It's okay. It's okay. I don't feel safe. And it's okay. Okay, and take a breath. And so I don't rush to switching over from I don't feel safe, because that's not what you would do with a child, right? Treat your nervous system like a child that needs to be attended to. And if all you did was walk around your house when you notice you're triggered and say, it's okay, it's okay, it will make a difference. The it's okay to yourself, or what version of that works in your, if English isn't your first language, can be the most kind, loving thing that you can say to yourself, because the nervous system hears it as acceptance, understanding, not judgment, kindness, and a little bit of containing, right? A little bit of containing. And give yourself that hug. You know, there's a, what's his name? A hypnotist out there. He's a British guy. He calls this havening, like safe haven. Give yourself that hug. Yeah, Sherry, you can give yourself that hug, right? Because you can be there for yourself more often. Yeah, give yourself a big hug. And so there's more to do, right? This is about self-diagnosis. I wanted you to get that clear, that deep teaching. Of course, there's lots more in the series that are coming up. There's lots more in Unblocked for you. But on Monday at 3 o'clock Eastern, we are inviting you to Chakra 2. Whole different ball game at Chakra 2. It builds on Chakra 1, but a whole different ball game there. I can't wait to see you on Monday. All right, awesome. See you guys. Thank you for your comments. Feel free to put more questions in there. We love your comments. We love your questions. It helps me make you more videos and live streams like this. I love you guys, and thank you for being with me today. Bye, everybody. Bye.